And speaking of seeing the light of day, it's nice to see Mr. Basket here. I know he's been incredibly busy ramping up the college center at Gilbert. And while we did a lot of the initial planning and recruitment last year, this will be our first big really implementation of that initiative. And so I did want Mr. Basket to come and give a few minutes of the work he's doing.
Good evening, and thank you for that introduction, Dr. Little. Right now, we are, let me go to the slide. We are serving 17 students from 3 different high schools. So that is Pillion High School, Lexington High School, and then Gilbert High School. Interesting to note, we have 9 of those students are going to be first-generation college students. That is our primary focus and primary audience for the College Center, is finding students who are typically underrepresented in college, students who have diverse backgrounds culturally, racially, and also academically, and finding them and making sure they have the opportunities to get into rigorous coursework and have the support along with it to be successful.
Mr. Basket, yes. I don't want to interrupt you, but I got chills when you said that. That is so exciting to me that these first-generation college students are participating in that. I just wanted to say that.
Sure,
well
and you're looking at one. I'm a first-generation college graduate, so I have an extra interest in this program because it's me. So I'm looking at myself 15, 20 years ago, and I'm the person that I wish I had when I was younger. So that's something that motivates me to do my best in this position. And some of the feedback we've gotten from students in this after the first week, many of them said that they were excited about the program because of Avid. So Avid is Advancement via Individual Determination. It is a program that previously existed at Carolina Springs Middle School. So they are in their 2nd year of implementation. So they were one of the first schools to use Avid. And then this year we have the College Center. We have White Knoll High School, who's in a planning year, Gilbert Elementary, who's in a planning year, and then also White Knoll Middle School, who's in their 1st year of implementation. So we have 5 sites right now who are Avid schools, 3 in implementation of those 5. But in that feedback, students talked about the Avid Elective and how it really focuses on what's called WICOR. So WICOR is an acronym standing for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and then reading at the end. So in Avid Elective, they work on those skills, and that is the support that they get to be able to be more successful in those rigorous courses, because they're taking honors courses, they'll be taking AP courses and also dual enrollment courses once they get to their junior and senior year. And then even a parent who reached out to me, they were considering moving, and she said that this was a factor in them trying to stay because they're that excited about the College Center. So that's the kind of impact that we're having on families in the first 3 weeks of school. Going into the early college high school research. So that is the program that we're establishing, and that vision is starting to come into shape. And most early college high schools have about 400, in the research I've done, about 400 students in all together out of those 4 grade levels, 9 through 12. So I've done some networking with some principals in the Charleston area and also in the Greenville area to learn more about early college high schools that are established, and getting some insight from them with the early stages of building that foundation, and then also some strategies they've used to grow and to sustain that growth, whether it's hiring, whether it's planning your schedule, transportation, all those things. I've been able to learn more about it, get some wisdom from some people who have experience so that we can prepare that for our students in this district. Which leads me into the master schedule. So as of now, we are working with Gilbert High School's teachers and staff. There is not any exclusive College Center staff other than myself right now. So right now we are just doing the best we can in sharing and working with the students. We have those 17 students. 4 of those students are in the LULA program right now, so the Lexington One Online Learning Academy, and they will be back with us, and they're planning to be back in January. So we have 13 who come on the AA cohort and the BB cohort total. But in that master schedule, in order to make sure we don't put a strain on Gilbert High School's master schedule, we may have to shift and do a separate schedule because of transportation needs. As of right now, our students who travel to Pillion High School and to Lexington High School have to leave at 2:45. That is the latest that we could get them back to their school in time to get back to their mode of transportation. So we're trying to be strategic and creative going into 21-22 to eliminate that, so we can get them either in earlier for the College Center on a separate schedule, or find a way to get them back a little bit later. So we're working on that. We don't have an answer specifically right now, but we have had plenty of conversation and planning for that transportation, because we do not want them to lose instructional time for transportation. Lastly, student recruitment. So it was a challenge to recruit in the spring. When things were shut down, we had to recruit, via Zoom and phone calls and emails. So we did a good job of getting the families connected to us. Students did an application, they had an interview, and then we selected them based on the information and the criteria that Avid also gives us some criteria on how to find students in that academic middle. So that's something that we're going to do a little bit differently this year if things are better for us as we get to the spring, of identifying students based on their performance in 8th grade, contacting their families and them and their schools, and then anyone can apply, but there is a criteria that the first priority is going to be first-generation college students and students who are typically underrepresented, but any rising 9th grader can apply to the program. But as we recruit more students, we will need more staff. Gilbert has its own natural growth in their community, so bringing extra students to their school has implications on the master schedule, the staffing of the school. So those are things that we're currently planning. I'm working closely with the principal, Jacob Nelson at Gilbert High School, and his staff to plan ahead so that we don't have any issues of trying to manage that next school year. And at this time, I will take questions.
Mr. Baskett, this is Jada. Can you kind of walk us through the day of one of these students? I know originally y'all are still in the College Center, which was the Center for Sustainable Solutions. But you mentioned you have teachers from Gilbert High. Do they come over there, or do those students, are they in with the rest of the classes that the teachers have? How does that work?
Yes, good question. So students, a typical day, I'm going to use Pillion because they were here today on A day. So they arrive to Pillion, whichever mode of transportation they have, whether that's a parent drops them off or they ride the bus. They get to Pillion High School. There's a shuttle that brings them from Pillion High School to Gilbert High School. They get there about 8:30. It's been pretty consistent. They get there about 8:30. The first couple of days, I greeted them to make sure they knew where they were going. We got their IDs to them, made sure they were okay, knew how to get to their classes, and they've really gotten immersed in the culture at Gilbert High School. So there are not any other teachers that come over. The teachers from Gilbert High School, they're already there. We have designated teachers who teach they were trained through Avid this summer, who teach the English, English, math, science, social studies, and then a counselor, the director of counseling was trained, excuse me. So they're there, they're immersed in classes with other students. Most of the core classes, they travel together. The only classes they may not have together would be like the world language. Some are taking German, or some might have been taking French, or some might have been taking Spanish. So that would vary, but it also depends on what they came to the College Center with as far as credits earned. So that's where it varies just a little bit, but they're always going to be in their Avid Elective class together. That's where they build that sense of community, and they push each other to grow each year. But otherwise, they kind of vary with the courses that credits they've earned. But they leave at 2:45 to make sure they get back to Pillion, and then they get home how they need to, or they play sports, or they do extracurriculars at Pillion as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Baskett.